Right, hello. This is another video about production line. I'm just going to pause everything while I say hello. Okay, so I'm going to go through the stuff that's new this week. There's a few things that are new, some visual stuff, and bug fixes and stuff like that. I've got a big kind of like test factory that's like massive. And one of the things that I fixed actually is these colours. That actually makes sense now. So red is the sort of chassis stuff, the green is the body stuff, this other green, I'll have better colours eventually, is paint. These are like facilities, I haven't given them different colours yet. That's engine stuff, that's other engine stuff that's later, and this is accessories, and this sort of horrible crappy colour here is manufacturing of stuff. So here, what is this? Fuel tanks. Making far too many fuel tanks is ridiculous. So one thing is that those colours make sense. Another thing is that when I zoom out, I don't draw what I call props. And the props are kind of like the little bits that make up each individual slot, like each individual thing. You can't tell because the colour obscures them. If I zoom in, so like that little... well, that workbench there, or this rack of parts, and this, you know, these are all props, and they're all drawn individually, which is a nightmare, in order to give me loads of variety. So if I zoom out, I just don't draw them, and it makes things quicker. But I draw everything else. If I go back, you see everything's still moving. And if I zoom in, obviously, I do draw them. That's one thing. The other thing is that I've got like with these welding sparks, I quite like. That's fairly new. When this production line moves, you should see all of the robots go into sparky mode. There's a hold up somewhere because it's a very inefficient line, but hopefully it will move in a second. Oh, here we go. So in they go, and sparks. I've only got one spark animation in at the moment, which means I've changed all the robots to be the same robot types. Quite boring. But I actually do have others, and they will be going in. I just haven't got around to it. Is there ever any like sparky welding once the car's been painted? Probably not, but you know, it's a game. Right, so that's that. Also, it's quite quick. You know, it's running quite fast, which is I'm quite pleased about. The other thing that has gone in, I'm forgetting about one thing, I'm sure I am. But the other thing that's gone in is these here, supply stockpiles, which I talked about last time, but they were hacky in that they would only stockpile certain things. So, for example, I've put this here to stockpile valves, because this is a bit of a bottleneck, actually. I've got a different layout of this where I've fixed this bottleneck. But anyway, I want loads of valves here, and they're not always showing up in time, so I'm trying to keep a stockpile of them here, which is why I put that here. But that was the default, so if I can find another one... Okay, so here's one here. I don't need any valves over here, because this is where we're just doing metal work, doing body work, basically. So you can set that to be whatever you want. Let me find one where it makes sense to adjust. What's going on here? What's going on here? Air conditioning. And that's seats, although I'm actually making the seats there, so I don't need to worry about that. Making the starter motor there. Steering wheel there. So I'm having to order steering wheels there, so maybe I could cache some here. I don't need valves here. So now I've got user interface for it, and it works. So I don't need to stockpile valves here, so I'll get rid of that. This is kind of like the provider chests in Factorio, I guess. What was after? Wheels. No, steering wheels. So there's a hard limit of like 36 here. If I want more steering wheels, then I have to reduce the number of that. I wondered about whether or not I should have like a proportionate GUI, where when you raise one it reduces the other, but I find that quite confusing actually. But anyway, I've set that now, so here we come, steering wheels. This will now fill up with steering wheels from the nearest actual import slot, which is here. Actually, it should be. I was going to say it should be filling up with more than that. So they will then eventually make their way. Oh no, but they can't. They can't. Look, I can't get from there to there. So I need to. Or do I? Okay, so I can now do that. So now when I need steering wheels, I've actually got loads. They're currently coming from here. Is it actually closer from there? There's actually not much in it. That's something that I changed actually. I changed the way that ordering logic works. So, for example, here in steering wheel land, if you need more steering wheels, what you used to do is say, is anyone around here making steering wheels? In the factory, in other words. If not, do we have a stockpile of steering wheels? If not, we'll import them. Now it's a lot more sensible, so it will sort of say, well, where's the nearest place to get steering wheels? It might not be here, it might actually be from there. What I want is a more complicated system that you'd have to research, where it would say, well, I could get them from here, where they've got some. Here they're in a big queue and then behind other stuff, so actually we'll get them from further away, even because that will be quicker. But I think you should have to research that level of kind of automatic inventory management or whatever. That's probably it. The animated sparky things were a nightmare. And they will be better, and they will have a sort of noise at some point that will be proper. It won't just be me going bzzz. Or maybe it will, I don't know. Anyway, so this is production line. This is quite a big production line that I've got going here. This is the sort of thing I want people to sort of work up to and work towards and enjoy fixing the bottlenecks. Look, major bottleneck, and if we go along here we can see where it is. I need to fix this gooey stuff to make it more obvious where it is. But if I click here, that should say waiting for line. Yeah, in other words, there's a bottleneck ahead of us. If I click here, it's waiting for resources. So yeah, it is a lack of valves getting here in time. Hopefully that's getting fixed now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many valves do they? Oh yeah, they need a lot. Anyway, so it's getting there actually. I'm making good progress. There's a lot of tiny little bugs and anomalies that I'm going to try and fix in the next week. So there might not be much to show for it next week. I don't know. We'll see. But thanks for watching. This is Production Line. Cheers.